Four, three, two, one. All right, we are live. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Jaya Talks. And we are here on episode 13. I'm Theo, and I'll be your host for today's session. And this episode, we will be talking about scaling Web3 projects. I know that we have a lot of our communities that are building Web3 projects, Web3 startups, and also companies. And we will be talking about the power of cross-sector synchronization. And by doing this topic, we will be diving deep into how successful projects keep their internal teams, partners, and also strategy aligned, especially in this fast-moving world of Web3. So, whether you are a founder, operator, a community builder, Web3 enthusiast, or just someone who are trying to figure it out what the Web3 actually is, these sessions will be packed with insight that you don't want to miss. So, trust me, these sessions will be so useful for you. And today we are joined by someone who knows the firsthand what it takes to scale ambitious ideas across borders and communities, also especially in managing partners. So please welcome Shabbir Khan as a partner at Zoo World, a global tech-enabled travel ecosystem that's reshaping the way creators, digital nomads, and entrepreneurs' life work and connect. And
Pleasure
Shabir,
to be
thank
here.
you so much for being here, man. Before we jumped into the main discussion, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and also your journey behind the zoo world?
Wonderful. Interesting. Thanks, Theo, and pleasure to be here. Thank you to the Jaya team, Theo yourself, and the community for putting this together. Interesting. I'm dialing from Dubai right now. I'm Shabbir Khan, as he said. I've been in the investment network, investment sites, investor networks, worked with GPs, MPs, and researchers mainly. I have been investing as an angel. I've been invested to 60 projects so far. And I started my journey with JP Morgan right after the college. I was working with State to State and working on JP Morgan's Onyx, which is the digital asset vertical. We were building private blockchains for investment banks using Hyperledger and Corda. So that was the start of my journey in crypto as well, because before that, I was just listening to my friends talk about BTC, but I never actually got into that. We had started a small club in our college, MIT, and mainly we would discuss. How do we invest in Bitcoin rather than what is behind Bitcoin? But back in 2019, I was asked to do a seminar and I didn't know any topic to come up with which my faculties couldn't understand. I was like, okay, let's go with something they don't know at all. And then I came across Ethereum. I was like, okay, this is pretty technical. Everyone in our engineering college knew distributed ledging system, but they didn't understand what is distributed ledging system when it comes to transacting with metadata and tokens. So that's when I dove deep into the Ethereum white paper, and I had put like $12 to $14 back in 2018 and 19. And 3 months after that, when we were asked to build the project, I came back and I was like, okay, this is 127% upside on my previous. I mean, whatever chiller I had put into that wallet. And I was like, okay, this is free money. I need to study what is happening here. And that was my first interaction to crypto. And right after college, I started working with the investment bank. For a year and a half, we built the infra for other investment banks to use the ledger, but it was not the. I would say it was not the meta of the cycle. People would not believe in stable coins. Banks would not want to interact with anything which is any less compliant. Now you might have seen like 3 weeks, 4 weeks back, JP Morgan announced the JPMD stable coin. So that was the first initial thing we were pioneering. We were just a team of 7 people working on this as an R&D team, and now we see the results piling up. After JP Morgan, I worked with Chainlink for a while. I was a Chainlink team, Indian Chainlink team, and we were building the community. We onboarded 16 projects to that middle ecosystem as well. And I started working in the meantime at a family office just to get more exposure to the investment side of it, because I initially started as a builder. I was building an NFT marketplace back in 2021 first half, but that was so of the narrative of the cycle, I would say. Like developers get to know about any narrative or any drastic change in this space pretty later, when retails have gotten invested and farmed ecosystem, and then developers still building on that infra. So it was important for us to understand what VCs think, what is the narrative building cycle is. So I was like, okay, let's go to the other side of the table. And then I started working with an FMO, the FMO behind Unbound, Engine Starter. Worked there for a year and a half, and then I joined CoinSwitch Ventures. I was working with Parth, who was the investment lead there. We looked too closely, like 140 projects in there, invested in 16 projects as well. So personally, I vetted more than 200 projects and probably spoken to 400 plus founders in this journey. All this while, I've been a part of Zoho. Zoho, the parent company is Australia. You might have already heard of it. It's world's biggest backpacking chain. They have like 140 plus property across India, Nepal, and Southeast Asia. So they accommodate youth and founders and young minds like us, give them a space to explore, ideate, and travel around the world without any mistake. The best thing Zoho has done is built a good quality network of founders. And in the past 3 years, they've provided them with real estate spaces, actual spaces where they could crash, they could build, they could ship 24/7, and probably launch meme coins and tokens, everything from one place. And they would find similar faces when they would travel and crypto conferences as well. So we've hosted a couple of pop-ups with the same vision Balaji had. We started 2 years back, and now we've built a community of over 2,000 people as founders, and we have investors, angels, and all kinds of contributors of this space and this ecosystem. We have a house in San Francisco. We have a house in we started a house in Dubai as well. We have a house in Bangalore. 50 more cities coming up. The idea is to position ourselves as an RW protocol. I mean, real world asset. That's the narrative of the cycle as well. But DV, the founder, had visioned it way before. I mean, last cycle only, that will provide the space. And now with the narrative, it's the idea is to acquire this property, fractionalize and tokenize it. So yeah, I mean that has been mostly my journey, and apart from that, I've been on a very compliant side as well. I've advised ADGM and VARA on coming up with a token issuance license for all the RW projects in UAE. So yeah, I've been a bull in RW and AI mainly because of the huge TAM and the valid use cases they give back to the crypto. Excited to see what's coming up.
I see, I see. So it seems like you've been going like through a lot of projects in your experience. So I think I
Yep.
would like to know what actually makes Web3 sexy for you. Like what makes you interested in Web3? I mean, because like for example, doing a research for a lot of projects, especially in the Web3, we have RWA, we have DEPIN, we have NFTs, we have games and everything. I think it requires like enough motivations to basically do all of the research. So what actually makes you interested in Web3?
I mean, I've come across, as I said, a lot of founders in this journey, and crypto has poised us with a lot of use cases, like ranging from decentralized science to deep in, as you said, to RWA, which is what TradFi is after. So I mean, as small as an idea to just tokenize your carbon credits to tokenizing these stocks and bonds and bringing everything on chain. I mean, a lot of founders have grown this space. I love how least compliant we've started with, like because we had a lot of space to think about. We were throwing ideas here and there. We would go to a hackathon. People are building anything, and they would not fear compliance, they would not fear anything, any government. And we would see products come out, we would see they would have 2 to 5,000, 10,000 users, and people would still use. I mean, a lot of products from last cycle we're still using, right? One interesting use case for me has been RWA and decentralized science as well. I'm a fan of the longevity space itself, and I see one valid use case is for the doctors and the medical system to upgrade the ledgers. But one cool thing, if you ask me to say, I think the coolest thing is this short narrative cycles. I mean, there's no one VC driving the narrative. There's no one hyperliquid changing the entire order books market. It's the common consensus of us retails. We want to, let's say, farm. We want to go with meme coins. We want to go with agents. We quickly move to the next narrative, and and it's very easy to follow the narrative in crypto. I mean, most of the research you do is on crypto Twitter itself. Like people are very vocal about what they're doing. which is not the case with traditional finance, which is not the case with the rest of the world. So, I mean, that's one cool thing. I mean, you have the liberty to do anything, and you get your feedback right off on crypto Twitter itself. So it all feels very easy to build product and jump the ladder. You can become CMOs, you can become CEOs in like 3 months, 4 months in crypto because you work very closely with the foundation of the project. I think that's very good.
Yes, I think I'll completely agree with with one of the points that you mentioned, which is the basically the career ladder where you can basically jump. So I think that is one of the reason why people are really interested into become a professionals in the Web3 as well, because sometimes uh, I mean, Web3 is really is one of the complex things to be understand for a common point of view. Like if people would like to understand crypto, they need to also talking about NFTs, and sometimes it could be talking about the other part, like the DeFi or maybe the exchange and everything. So I think it's not an easy concept to be understand for the most of the people. And by having the knowledge to understand this kind of thing, could actually leverage your career, especially in Web3. So just like what you said, someone who have the ability of the marketing plus the Web3 knowledge could becomes the actual marketing expert for Web3. So they could become the CMO or maybe head of marketing, which have a really faster growth compared to the Web2. And yep,
Exactly.
there's a lot of things
I
happening
mean,
like that in the
people,
Web3.
yeah, people get a lot of ownership right off from day one you're starting to. It's either two reason you get into crypto, or three probably. I mean, you actually believe in the tech, which is, I mean, I think the least proportion of the folks in crypto. I mean, a lot of people join because it's heavily incentivizing, and second is it gives you very much like it's give you high level of ownership from day one. I mean, you could start as a founder. A lot of people in crypto are motivated to build a product. So they would start as an exec level, CEO, CMOs, CFOs, or maybe right in the founding team. It's very easy to get into a founding team in crypto because a lot of founders are building the product. So, I mean, if you're listening and if you're looking for a role, I think rather than joining a big, huge company in crypto with, let's say, 2 billion, 3 billion market cap and getting a role as an associate, I think if you want to take things into your hand and have more ownership, you should focus on a small team which has better conviction. You think the product is going to survive and start contributing to it. And definitely, like, I mean, monetary aspect is that you have to align your incentives, right? But to get better ownership, I think that's something you take from crypto and go back to Web2 with. And you worked as a CEO, CMO, you've built a product from zero to one and took it to the masses. This is something you can show. I think you should do that.
Yes, completely agree. Web3 is like a really wide canvas that everybody can do their creativity on it. And like you mentioned, everybody can become founders in the Web3, and it's sometimes good to have some sort of like sense of belonging on what they are actually building. And I think there's a lot of people who are started to realize it's really good, and also it's really cool to build their own projects. And the result is we have a lot of projects out there in Web3. And I think I would like to connect this with my next question. So, in your experience, we know that there are a lot of first of all, we have a lot of blockchains. We have layer one, layer two, and for each of the layer one or layer two, we have a lot of dApps, a lot of the applications. And in your experience, during the when you are researching about Web3 projects, what are the most overlooked factor when the Web3 projects are trying to get into their potential partners, like for example, investor or maybe VC or maybe connected with the layer one or layer two that will be providing the support for their projects?
Yeah. I briefly mentioned, I certainly mentioned it in my last take as well. I mean, I've personally worked with Ethereum Foundation as a visiting researcher on their research initiatives. I've been very close with the Starknet Foundation, and I was advising Pendle Finance, and I was very close to Arbitrum ecosystem as well. I mean, most teams, most projects that built on this, these infra or these layer ones, focus on the tech stack, pitch decks for tokenomics, which is good. I mean, you should know your token economics right, and you should build the product to start with. But they overlook mutual incentives. I mean, a lot of projects die in crypto not because they're not good or the tech is, the tech is not good enough. It's because the users are not incentivized enough to use the application, be it farming, be it just capital appreciation, people, or be it just social recognition. There has to be some incentive for users to come and stick to your platform. Partnerships are not just about integrations. You can have, I've seen a lot of decks and I've seen like 20, 30 partners, and we've had Google, we've had Nvidia as partners. But I I think they're about timelines, bandwidth, and skin in the game. Whether Google, DeepMind are actually contributing to your project. Do they even know about your project? Or it's just the conversation you've had with on the mail, and they agreed, okay, you can use their name. What's really missing is alignment on value capture. How you have all these ecosystem partners and provide value to this different ecosystem projects. So let's say if I'm Hyperliquid, I want to partner with a liquidity an abstraction layer which is providing liquidity provider. I need to understand the users and incentivize them right. So who could benefit how quickly and how visibly to the end user. Also, people forget about storytelling a lot. A lot of founders don't do the storytelling right. Whether you're talking about a wallet, a protocol, or an exchange, you need to articulate why this alliance matters now, and not just technically, but mainly narratively, I believe.
I see, I see. So I agree with you mentioned that storytelling is really important because I think no matter how good your project is, sometimes the way on how you deliver about your projects and the way on how you bring the important part of your project is also not like perfectly executed because of the storytelling. So that's why I really totally agree with the storytelling things. And I would like to also ask regarding your experience. So you've been managing a lot of partners, right? And sometimes choosing the right partners could actually accelerate growth for the Web3 projects. But sometimes it's also resulting in a complicated alignment, whether it's from external team or maybe from the internal team. So is there any experience of you, like how do you ensure partnerships that actually could strengthen the alignment, not making it like the fragmented or maybe shift the project's core direction?
Interesting. That's a very good question. I mean, when I got on BD calls or partnerships called, I've learned to ask myself, is this partnership expanding our moat? Like, do we have our moat out in the eyes of the people, or it's just inflating our roadmap? Like, we don't need to buy more time. We have our product ready. Before this firm, I was part of EAK as well. EAK was a huge firm with venture arm, with the digital marketing arm, GTM arm, and so we would basically build the entire pipeline for the product. So we would come across a lot of partners in this journey. And this is the question that I kept myself asking, whether we just trying whether these partners are just trying to expand their roadmap, or they're actually trying to find a unique proposition in this partnership, and actually going to market, actually going to use the name, and build a community around it. And though right now we make sure every partnership supports a core pillar, which is because Zoho has a lot of has a huge founder community. We make sure whether it is going to contribute to the growth of the founders that we have in a network, whether it's going to provide more liquidity to the founders that we have, it be liquidity in terms of incentives, and is it going to be, I mean, a lot of time we don't talk about compliance a lot when we make the partnership, but a bit about how it's going to look in the eyes of the big boys. So community growth, liquidity, a bit of compliance. If it doesn't add compounding value to this partnership, I think it's just probably a distraction. So you should not onboard more partners if they're not providing any value exchange. Operationally, we don't have anything as such as OKRs or FPIs or any such metrics in which we can gauge the partnerships that the partners we've onboarded. Because in crypto, we get all kinds of partners. Like this is an entire spectrum. It's not something you can benefit from an exchange marketing your product. You can benefit from a VC doing the marketing on there, and or you can benefit from just an event organizer like Token 2049. So the regular things to provide deep scope of the partnership and what the alignment, what the value is coming. I think as a moat, and that's something founders should be chasing in crypto.
I see. That's really cool. Because some also a lot of projects are having some benefits from the offline events, like you mentioned, talking to the 49, or maybe Coinbase Asia, or like some other regional blockchain week that are happening in the rest of the world. And we've been talking about the alignment like internally and also externally. And do you have any specific approach to actually making sure that every alignment, whether it's from the partner perspective or maybe from your team, that you could make sure that every strategy and also executions is actually stay in synchronized? Because especially when we are talking in with the partners, it's not like talking between two people, but it's like two groups of people. So sometimes things could change during the plan. So when we already have a plan, 50% executed, sometimes things got to change because the request things of everything. So do you have any specific strategy on how to handle these kind of things, to keep everything is in a good harmony of alignment?
I mean, there is a two part to this question. I mean, first is the alignment, the other partner as well. So let's say if I'm getting on a call uh, with a partner which is from a narrative of last cycle, which is not contributing to what I'm doing to the goal, or and I'm just onboarding them because they have, like, let's say 100K followers, or they might add social cross marketing value to our product. This is good if you do it at a very early stage, but when you have an audience of your own, which is niche audience, which is like, let's say if you're a DeFi lending protocol, I mean, you have actual DeFi native users and you want to serve it to them, then you need to align the I mean, you have to fix your alignment in partnerships, like then you have to follow where the smart money flows, not who's the loudest, who has the best most followers, whether this alignment is actually going to add value to our product, our roadmap, and whatever we're trying to envision. So I think these are the products who are most aligned. I've seen virtual ventures doing a virtual protocol you might have come across. They've been doing a great job with partnerships, and all the partners they've announced, it blows up on Twitter. I mean, starting from Vader, Luna AI, because they know the kind of projects they want is mainly the agentic projects, mainly the application layers of AI. This is something they can market, they can launch it on Genesis platform, they can make people farm the Genesis points, and it could mutually benefit the project founders as well because they're getting more liquidity from virtuals, and people are getting excited because virtual is a brand. So I mean, it's more about how what kind of users you're serving, and second, whether it's actually the narrative whether it's actually the place where the smart money is following, where the actual investors are coming. So if you're a marketing agency, I mean, for you, the alignment would be to getting the best closing. I mean, the most, I mean, just having the partnerships not the right thing. Having the partners which has a pipeline of new leads, new projects, which can give you a access to a new set of deals, or an entire new set of deal flow as well. I mean, you have to think how you can make business out of it. You can raise 2 million, 5 million out of it, but still making a single penny feels good on each partnerships you close. So some of the people in crypto are very generous. They don't talk about money at all. I mean, a lot of partnerships in crypto don't involve money at all because they think there would be mutual benefits of cross marketing, or maybe their users would come into our platform, or our branding would get better. It's only better if the power disparity is right. If I'm partnering with, let's say, virtual, which is adding value to our entire brand, then it's fine. But rather, as a founder, I think you should still have this process of thinking, which you had while you were working in TradFi or in Web2, and how do we make money out of it? You should always keep yourself asking this question, whether it is adding any monetary value or any other kind of value will I close the partnerships. I think this answers both the parts of your questions.
Interesting, interesting. When you also mentioned about it also depends on your users, and as for marketing agency, it's mostly it's a B2B type of users. So it also requires different strategy to do the alignment of the teams, and also there's a lot of projects out there who are basically thinking on like how do we basically uh, collab with one of the projects, because you also mentioned there are sometimes some partnerships doesn't really require or maybe involving any money at all, but from the project's POV sometimes they've been thinking like, is there any specific budget that we should basically prepare to develop this kind of partnerships? And not every BD or maybe every partnership manager could actually initiate the conversations on asking like, is it require any price? Is it maybe involving any money? So sometimes it also resulting in miscommunication because none of the two BDs of separated parts are maybe like to start the kind of like, like asking like how much, or maybe is it involving, is it free? Sometimes it's hard to do that.
Yeah, I mean, crypto has been very generous. So a lot of people come onto calls with the mindset, okay, there would be no money involvement. But there
Yes,
has to be some, I mean, there is some protocols who are actually making revenue. There is money flowing. It's not all VC money coming into crypto. There is a huge proportion of retail money also flowing. So some protocols are actually making huge revenues. You need to understand, okay, I mean, if you're building a business, eventually your goal should be to how to make money from retail or from businesses. If you don't have that in mind, then it's going to be a short-lived project. I mean, you cannot survive with just partnerships, right? You need to serve the
true.
users as well. So have that mindset.
Yes, so there's a lot of retail's money also going up in the Web3. There's a lot, especially nowadays when Web3 adoption is getting higher and higher every day. So I think one of the most powerful circulating money is also coming from the retails. So yes,
Yeah.
and I love all of those insights. Basically, there's a lot of things to learn, things to basically. I heard a lot of new things today, and I think we can now hear it from our community or maybe audience. So we have plenty of questions here. Let me count it out. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions on YouTube, 3 questions from the group, and also 4 questions from my DM. Let me prioritize the one on the YouTube first before we going into the Telegram. So I think the first question is coming from the Shahrukh Khan. So the question is, what is your tech stack and what you start with?
Okay, he's I think probably asking about my experience and how I started as a dev. I don't have a product right now, so I mean, if you're asking about that, I think that's a bit off. But yeah, I started as I am a computer science grad, and I started with Python, JavaScript, Java, and my tech stack would be as I got into crypto. I think I started with Solidity and Rust, but I've used Hyperledger and Corda all my life because I was working in JP Morgan and State Street as well. So I think that was one single disciplinary skill that I learned, and I think that's what benefited me. So yeah, I started with Python all the way here. Thanks, Shahrukh.
Yes, always start with the snake, start with the Python, guys. A lot of Web3 devs also mention the same thing. Alright, and also the
It's
Java.
easy, yeah.
All right, so, moving on to the second questions coming from the ANRH Web3. So the question is, how do you know when a project is actually ready to be scaled?
I mean, if you are a founder and if you get your first user and a first feedback, which is convincing you enough, okay, you have to build it for masses. I mean there's always product market fit, PMFs, and different theory around when to start to actually build a product. There's a lot of project founders in crypto either working at something or some place, but they still have this tendency to become a founder. They just don't know it yet, whether I should all go all in and scale the product, build the product. I think is the user onboarding. If you're a B2B project, as the first client paying for your services. If you're a B2C project, it's the first feedback you get from the user. That's when you understand, okay, this is scalable or not. So I think that answers your question, Anna.
Interesting point. When it also involving first feedback from the user. So I think
Yes.
it's a really good signs that one of the signs that indicate that the project is actually ready to be scaled is that first of all feedback. Yes, I like that. All right, second
Yep.
question is coming from the Euro Web3 boy. Have you ever had to say no to a partnership even though it looks good on paper? If yes, why?
Oh shit, and I mean, I've turned down a lot of partnerships. Coming back, I mean, coming back to the same, as I told you before as well, the first thing that comes into my mind when I actually think about any partnership is whether this partnership is going to actually add any value. Is there any moat? Is there anything that could add to our existing brand image? If it's not, because in crypto you come across a lot of it. 90% of the projects are not good. You have to accept that a lot of people are just building anything and you cannot entertain them. I'm not calling out any founders, but again, there are projects which does not make sense at all. And the founders even know it, and they just want to make quick money, quick bucks. So they still run it through grants or hackathons or through VCs, and some get funded by the VCs as well. So crypto is a wild west. Um, but yes, I've turned a lot of partnership just because I thought there was no value addition, there was no value exchange, and the timing at times the timing was not right as well. I mean, a lot of crypto BDs you might have seen on Telegram, they take times to they take a lot of time to respond as well. They take a lot of time to close the partnership because they're lazy. The space is lazy itself. So I mean, 5% of time because of the behaviors of the founders or the BD people, but 95% of the time because I don't see a value in having them on board.
All right, interesting. I have one questions on my on the group that actually linked to these questions, even though I think they're different person. But guys, I would like to put the question on the Telegram first because it's related with the current question. So the question is actually, if you have created a lot of partnerships, how do you create the line whether this one is beneficial enough to be partner up, or maybe this one is not beneficial enough, so you need to turn the partnerships down? Like, how do you basically draw the line?
I mean, it depends mainly on your offering. If you are a project founder, if you're building something in infra, and if you're onboarding an ecosystem projects, I think your line should be whether this project is going to increase my MAUs or DAUs, my monthly active users, daily active users. If you are an application layer speaking to an ecosystem, I think your line should be the brand value because you want the ecosystem support. If I'm a marketing agency and I'm serving another marketing agency, it doesn't make sense for us to partner at all because we are cutting the pies. So in different scenario, it depends on what kind of brand you're partnering with and what you are yourself. I mean, whether A plus B is making any sense or not. So I mean, we could come up with 10 different example and 10 different scenarios. We would have different lines to draw. So yeah, that's a very broad question. I mean.
Okay. I see. So it really depends on what type of projects, what type of the results that we are also expecting from each of the
Yeah,
partnership,
it's
and what
KPI.
are. Yes,
It's mainly
I
the
agree.
mutual goal, I believe. Yeah.
Yes, true. All right. Then I think moving on to our last question is, sorry, we have two more questions. Question is from the lo-fi chill and relaxing music. How does a lo-fi channel is watching us right now? Okay, so the question is, how do you handle misalignment between founders and investor? And does this thing actually exist? Whether it's a misalignment between founders and investors?
Yeah, so how I handle, I usually go to YouTube and search for lo-fi music and just sit down and not click on the audience line.
Getting
But
chill.
yeah, I mean, how do you handle misalignment between founders and investors? So I think this question is meaning if I am an investor or if I'm looking, I'm a scouter connecting a founder and investor. Then how do I think manage the communication issues or the misalignment? So the first thing is all the investors have their own investment thesis. And founders don't actually look into that before reaching out to them. They think, okay, there's money, there is founder, they have a good name. I think I should, there's money, they're investors. I should definitely reach out to them and get myself funded. On the other hand, VCs have a set specific theses. They just want to entertain founders who fit into because they are the most pressured actors. I mean, they are the most pressured people in crypto because they have their LP pressure, who's always looking for MOIC multiple on their initial investments, and on the other side, retail, who's investing in meme coins, AI agents, and making more money than VCs. Because last cycle, VCs had the upper edge. Now we all have the upper edge because on day one, people are launching the token and getting access to the airdrops or TG. So VCs are the most pressurized people, and then a founder comes to them with anything which does not fit the thesis. This is very misaligned. So if I am a scouter, I'm connecting them, or I'm any actor in between. I would not try to align if it's not aligned with the thesis itself. But let's say if it is if it doesn't fit the thesis, but the product is actually making sense, and I want to help the founders raise the fund and close the round. What I'll do is I will position my product, my project in a way it eventually fits the thesis. So I'll make changes because if I want, let's say, myself to be funded by Paradigm or coin fund who have the thesis mainly in infra or layer ones, then it doesn't make sense for me to reach out to them if I'm building something off the thesis entirely. But if they're a generic VC and they've invested in all kinds of projects, and you think they would be easily FOMOed out by the sector you're building up, as if I'm an RW project and they does not have any project invested in or any portco invested in RWA, then I would try to align myself. I would change my investment material. I would change my pitch decks every time I reach out to a new VC. So I could align. That's how, I mean, you as a I mean, we've all done that with our resumes. If you reach out to a company which has entirely different requirements, but you still want it to work for that company, you'll try to make some changes, equip yourself, maybe possess more skills or train yourself for the right role. So this is how a founder should also approach while fundraising. I mean, you need to give the VCs what they want, otherwise they would not entertain you at all because they're too busy in crypto. I mean.
Yeah, okay, okay. Yeah, completely understand. I think a really good point for our project, like you mentioned, for all of the founders out there, is to basically be the flexible piece of puzzle, so you can actually approach the right, may could be investor or maybe the right ecosystem that you are trying to integrate with. So
Yeah.
they can also see that you actually the good fit, like you mentioned, like
Yeah.
what we are always do with our resume. Sometimes we need to create a specific resumes for a specific project that we are applying. So yes, that's that's, I really like that point.
And to add on top of that, I think VCs, 90% of the VCs bet on the founder. Like it's a
Mhm.
horse bet rather than a product bet. So if they think, okay, the founder is capable enough to pull anything we ask them to, or if they are flexible enough, as you use the word, it's a very good term. Like, I mean, if you're flexible enough to change your product according to the market, I think I personally would invest in that founder. If the founder who's like, okay, I've built this product and I think this is going to be a moonshot, whatever the market is, whatever the sentiment are. I think these
Mhm.
founders usually have a hard time raising funds because VCs want some decision making, some because they come with a lot of experience. VCs are not any I mean, they're not just DeFi native. They understand all
Yes.
sectors. So they come with this experience, and if they ask you to change a tad bits of your project and make it look more retail friendly or business friendly, I think you should adapt to that. And I think this will give you a huge upper hand comparing to the rest of the founders.
True, true. Because I believe that feces will also. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all been looking for the same thing, which is a benefit. So I think from the VC perspective, they'll also see that the money that they are invested in is actually working, so
Yeah.
that the investor is actually could adapt in any situation of the market. Because I mean, who want to lose their money, right? Because yeah, it's also their experience. So guys, they VCs also have their own research, their own experience. So
Yeah,
yes,
and it's not VC's money. I mean, VCs are middlemen who they are the
yes,
experts who invest LP's money. So they have to have some grounds before they invest in founder. They have to look, I mean, do at least two, three layers of due diligence before they invest in a founder. I mean, yeah, just think how VCs think, and you will be able to raise easily.
true, true, true. All right, last questions coming from the RCKT BNNY. Hi Shabir, what is your approach to handling multiple stakeholders with competing priorities? Have you ever experienced
Yeah,
that?
a lot, sir, a lot. I mean, who doesn't? Who doesn't?
Yeah,
Everyone has different decision making, and everyone wants different thing in a company or in crypto space in a narrative. Yes, I mean, this is an acquired skill. I mean, this is where your salesmanship comes in. I mean, this is your experience of as we spoke earlier, this is where your storytelling comes in. If you're closing a partnership, if you're convincing someone for fundraising, if you're speaking to just the founders to build on top of your ecosystem or your infra play, I think how good of a storyteller you are, how good can you convince the other stakeholders that okay, this is making sense, this is adding value, and this is good for all of us. You may be wrong. I mean, you have to be a really good listener in crypto. I mean, you can be Justin Sun, but if you're not listening, there's no point. People would entertain you a lot. So I mean, with starters, I think you have to learn the skill of being a good storyteller or a salesperson. You have to sell your decision. You have to sell your theses. You have to sell your ideas to the partners and stakeholders you're working with. So in different scenarios, it could work in different meanings. For VCs, if I'm a part of an investment committee and if I see two more analysts just fighting me on this, okay, we should not invest in this project now. Like, no, I have all my conviction in this project and I think this is going to success. This is going to succeed. Then I need to first listen if they're even making sense or not. If they are, then I think to adapt it to my pitch. What is the next line I'm going to say? If it's not actually making any sense to our investment strategy, to our thesis, then it may actually feel like they might have come up with some really good red flags. Then I would consider that. There's no need of convincing other stakeholders because you could be at times wrong as well. But most of the time, I think everyone is right in their own stories, and everyone wants their stories to be told and convinced and written upon. So I think that's when your sales skills or storytelling skills comes in.
yep. Again, back to the storytelling, guys. So you all know how important it is to basically deliver everything in the right way and in the right time, because that simple step could actually resulting a different outcomes. All right,
Yes.
so I think that's the last questions that we are having from the communities. And before we wrap up, in every session of the Jaya Talents, we always collect a secret questions from our communities. So every speakers always have different secret questions by the end of the session. And for today, the questions that are coming from our community for you is, wait, let me read that. So it's actually a poll. So they creating this. I created this vote, and they can vote. So the highest vote for today's session is, if you have to pick between Bitcoin and gold for the next 20 years, which one will you hold?
Wow, that's I mean I've not thought about it. I mean nobody has, right? In crypto, we don't even think about it. Bitcoin and gold. I mean that's a very easy question. I mean, give me something very secret or I will give you very hard. I mean, no way.
Okay.
I mean, I would pick Bitcoin over anything. Not anything. If I'm building my own project, I would have more conviction on BTC. So I'm that guy that I believe in the collective consensus, collective vision, and I've read Bitcoin paper 4 times, and I've been a fan of the propositions it has. So I mean, and anyway, it's going to be scarce. Do any math you can, come up with any equation. I would be there to fight you with. I mean, to have a debate with. Gold is there, but gold is real world, and I mean, real world entity, and it is. not going to be scarce. People can mine gold, people can lose gold, people can get gold stolen. I mean, there are 10 different arguments I can come with. And BTC, you have seen the number. In the past 2 years, BTC has 4x. I mean, no way I'm ditching BTC, baby. It's BTC always.
All right, we sound so bullish now, guys. Amazing, amazing. All right, that's wrapped up for today's Jaya Talk. You heard a lot of things from Shabir's. His insights are totally valuable. His experience are top notch. And again, thank you again to you, Shabir, for sharing so many gems with us. And for every of our audiences today, if you have enjoyed these sessions, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode with your fellow builders, because we all know that it's really hard to find a good Web3 reference on YouTube other than tutorial. And we will see you in the next episode. Until then, stay aligned, stay curious,
Thank
and keep
you.
building. Cheers.
Props, everyone.
Thank you, Shabir. Have a good one.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.